snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is the first one in the Burton and Swinburne Chronicles or series, which is The Strange Affair of Spring-Heeled Jack, and it's by Mark Hodder. This book, so good, so good, so happy I picked this one up. This is basically a kind of cross between a historical fiction with fantastical steampunky elements. So cool. It's kind of like a cross between many different genres really. It has a lot of historical focus because it's set in 1861 in the UK in London, but actually it has a lot of really interesting ideas of like steampunk technology that is in this world. The world that they live in is definitely not normal 1861 era. It's really got these cool different factions of people. We get to see evolution of society. The society of this world has evolved in a completely different way. Technology is already a big thing back in this time. People already have a lot of knowledge about evolution. They've got a lot of knowledge about the society they live in, technology generally, and it's just really interesting. So kind of like an alternative history fiction with steampunk, a lot of steampunk machinery and things like that thrown in. Very cool, crazy, explorer, wacky types in this story. A lot of the characters in this story are based on real life characters. For example, the main character is Burton, and he's based on a real life character. He's based on a real life explorer. We've also got lots of other characters like the poet Swinburne, who is again based on a real life character, but they're completely different to their real life personalities, like historical personalities. So even if you think you know what they're like, these kind of reimaginings of them is not quite the same. And oh my god guys, this book was so good. If you like historical fiction and you also like fantasy, a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of sci-fi all thrown in, this is the book and the series for you. It's also kind of a little bit quirky and wacky. It's got some really crazy stuff that happens, some really crazy characters, and oh my gosh, it was just so good. I really enjoyed this. So let's get into what it's all about. When I picked this up, I'd never heard of Mark Hodder before. I picked this up solely based on the cover because I saw the cover and I saw the covers for the rest of the ones in the series, and I absolutely love these covers. I think they are just really different to a lot of the covers that are out there and really cool. So I picked this up purely based on a cover buy. I later found out that Michael from Bitten by a Radioactive Book had also already read this, but he was the only other person I know who had read it, and he gave it a 5 stars. So I went into it kind of, I didn't know anything about it, but I knew that Michael had given it 5 stars, so I was definitely intrigued about it, and I really wanted to get to it because the cover is just so cool. The sound of it was just really interesting. I'm so happy I picked this up when I did. It was utterly mind-blowingly awesome and I loved it. It's very much an absurdist steampunk novel. That's what I think I would class it as overall, absurdist, because it has a lot of absurd stuff that goes on. It's kind of like our Victorian period, but it's a very wacky version of it. This book definitely has some extremely witty and intelligent and funny writing. The author has got to be really knowledgeable about this era because the writing is really interesting. At the start of every chapter of the book, there's all these strange little sort of Victorian-esque or Edwardian-esque adverts that just made me laugh so much. They are really entertaining. This one is, "Save your elbow grease with a specially bred broom cat. This beautiful long-haired house cat makes a wonderful and affectionate pet. It behaves exactly as one would expect of a gentle domesticated animal, but with a difference. 4 times a day your broom cat will walk every inch of the floors in your home, picking up dust and dirt with its long, uniquely designed coat. It will then lick itself clean and digest the waste matter. Broom cats keep your floors spotless. Available in black, white, tabby, blue-grey or tortoiseshell. More colours available soon. Send postal order to etc. Oh, they are just so witty and so funny, and they literally had adverts like this back in Edwardian times. In Edwardian sort of times, you could order whatever you wanted. There was no limit on whatever you could order. People would con you out of everything and lie to your face and say, you know, here's a new hair gel that's going to grow all your bald hair back and stuff like that. So it just really fitted really well, and I loved that. The book definitely doesn't swerve away from sort of strong language. There's a lot of scenes where strong language is used, but there's definitely a real sense of feeling like you're within this time period. It does feel convincing as a time period. It feels like you're there, you're watching things unfold, and I really, really enjoyed that. Even with the kind of new inventions of this day, even though they wouldn't really have been around in our past, it still has a kind of Sherlock feeling to it, a mysterious feeling to it, an investigation feeling. It definitely has vibes of Sherlock. A large amount of the story focuses on two characters, Burton and Swinburne. These two are pretty funny characters and they bounce off of one another really, really well. At the beginning of this book, Burton is an explorer who's just come back and he doesn't really know what he's going to do with his life after his failed exploration. Someone else has come back and tried to claim credit for the exploration that he just did, and he's all a bit in uproar. He doesn't really know what to do with himself, and then one of his friends dies and everything goes a bit down the drain. But he then gets asked to become an investigator for the king, and then Swinburne is a kind of semi-famous poet who's also a little bit of a drunkard on and off, and those two are just great friends. They meet up with each other a lot and they chat and they just have really funny discourse between one another, and I loved seeing their relationship. They've got a whole lot of charm and charisma, and they were just really, really funny. I actually listened to a lot of this on audiobook, so even though I did read some of it on physical form, especially like all of the chapter headings and all of the beginnings, I really wanted to read all of them. I did actually listen to some of this on audio as well, so I have 2 copies of the book, I suppose. The audiobook's really, really good, so if you want to check out the audiobook, I definitely recommend this one. Gerard Doyle, who narrates it, was really, really good at doing convincing voices, and he made it really exhilarating, and it made it really, really wonderful to read about and just experience the whole world as if I was really there. In this book, we have 3 different parts. The first part of this story focuses on Burton, and we see him as he comes home and his friends died and things are going wrong, but he actually gets appointed a new role by the king. His story gets more and more crazy as it goes. Suffice to say, a rather deranged and wild character of Spring Heel Jack throws a complete spanner into the works and really confuses things in a very, very funny way. Burton has to face a lot of stuff that no one sane or normal would ever be okay facing, but he's already in a bit of a predicament, so he kind of is forced to sit through this situation and learn what he can. The second part of this story focuses on Oxford, who becomes a really, really interesting element within the book. We get to see Oxford's version of the events that we've already experienced with Burton and how Oxford views everything. It's a really interesting way that it's written. And then the final storyline, part 3, is a kind of convergence of the 2 storylines. We see Oxford and Burton as the 2 storylines converge, and we learn a lot about what has been going on, because there's a lot of really crazy stuff that is hinted at, and we get kind of glimpses of what the mystery might be. There's definitely a mystery element, a sort of investigative element to this book, but it's so well done and so well crafted and so well thought about that I couldn't even begin to guess what was going to happen, and it was really exciting when I started to figure things out. But I didn't figure things out until the very end, when you're meant to figure things out, so it was really, really wonderfully written. On the whole, if you've never heard of this book, if you've never seen this book, if you've never heard of this author, go and check him out, because my goodness, it was so fun. Such a great read. Really convincing in terms of plot, in terms of world building, in terms of characterization, but also really witty, really funny. It made me laugh a lot of the time. It also made me really baffled as to what was going on and really confused in a good way. I was really enjoying not knowing what's happening and sort of waiting for the big reveal and being excited because I was figuring tiny things out. It was awesome. It was so good, and I'm definitely going to continue on with this series. I already have the next 4, I think. I've already got the next 2, and I've ordered the 2 after that. Michael and I are planning to continue this series, I think, next month, so I'm very, very excited to do that, and I cannot wait. And yeah, if you've ever read this book, if you've ever heard of it or started this series, definitely let me know your thoughts, or if you've never heard of it and you want to give it a go, again, let me know your thoughts, because I love this one. It was so good. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was awesome, and I'd highly recommend it. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.